The sacred band of Thebes was a troop of picked soldiers, consisting of 150 pairs of male lovers, which formed the elite force of the Theban army in the 4th century BC. Its predominance began with its crucial role in the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BC. It was annihilated by Philip II of Macedon in the Battle of Chaeronea in 338 BC. Formation. And if there were only some way of contriving that a state or an army should be made up of lovers and their beloved, they would be the very best governors of their own city, abstaining from all dishonor, and emulating one another in honor, and when fighting at each other's side, although a mere handful, they would overcome the world. For what lover would not choose rather to be seen by all mankind than by his beloved, either when abandoning his post or throwing away his arms? He would be ready to die 1,000 deaths rather than endure this. Or who would desert his beloved or fail him in the hour of danger? Plato Symposium. The earliest surviving record of the sacred band by name was in 324 BC, in the oration against Demosthenes by the Athenian logographer, Dinarchus. He mentions the sacred band as being led by the general Pelopidas, alongside Epaminondas, who commanded the army of Thebes, were responsible for the defeat of the Spartans at the decisive Battle of Leuctra. Plutarch, a native of the village of Chaeronea, is the source of the most substantial surviving account of the sacred band. He records that the sacred band was originally formed by the Boeotarch Gorgidas, shortly after the expulsion of the Spartan garrison occupying the Theban citadel of Cadmeia. The 2nd century AD Macedonian author Polyarinus in his Stratagems in War also records Gorgidas as the founder of the sacred band. However, Dio Chrysostom, Hieronymus of Rhodes, and Athenaeus of Naucratis credit Epaminondas instead. The exact date of the sacred band's creation and whether it was created before or after the Symposium of Plato and the similarly titled Symposium by his rival Xenophon, has also long been debated. The generally accepted date of the sacred band's creation is between 379 to 378 BC. Prior to this, there were references to elite Theban forces also numbering 300. Herodotus and Thucydides both record an elite force of 300 Thebans allied with the Persians who were annihilated by Athenians in the Battle of Plataea. Herodotus describes them as the first and the finest among Thebans. Diodorus also records 300 picked men present in the Battle of Delium, composed of Heniochoi and Parabatai. Though none of these mention the sacred band by name, these may have referred to the sacred band or at least its precursors. The historian John Kinloch Anderson believes that the sacred band was indeed present in Delium, and that Gorgidas did not found it, but merely reformed it. In the old debate surrounding Xenophon's and Plato's works, the sacred band has figured prominently as a possible way of dating which of the two wrote their version of Symposium first. Xenophon's Socrates in his Symposium disapprovingly mentions the practice of placing lovers beside each other in battle in the city-states of Thebes and Elis, arguing that while the practice was acceptable to them, it was shameful for Athenians. According to the British classical scholar Sir Kenneth Dover, this was a clear allusion to the sacred band, reflecting Xenophon's contemporary awareness of the Theban practice, albeit anachronistic as the dramatic date of the work itself is c. 421 BC. However, it is the speech of the character Phaedrus in Plato's Symposium referring to an army of lovers that is most famously connected with the sacred band. Dover argues Plato wrote his Symposium first since Plato's Phaedrus uses language that implies that the organization does not yet exist. He acknowledges, however, that Plato may have simply put the hypothesis in the mouth of Phaedrus according to the supposed earlier dramatic date of the work. It only shows that Plato was more mindful of his chronology in his Symposium than Xenophon, and proves that he was actually quite aware of the sacred band in his time. Composition. According to Plutarch, the 300 hand-picked men were chosen by Gorgidas purely for ability and merit, regardless of social class. It was composed of 150 male couples, each pair consisting of an older Arace and a younger Eromenos. Athenaeus of Naucratis also records the sacred band as being composed of lovers and the favorites, thus indicating the dignity of the god Eros in that they embrace a glorious death in preference to a dishonorable and reprehensible life, while Polyaenus describes the sacred band as being composed of men, devoted to each other by mutual obligations of love. The origin of the sacred appellation of the sacred band is unexplained by Dinarchus and other historians, but Plutarch claims that it was due to an exchange of sacred vows between lover and beloved at the shrine of Iolaus at Thebes. He also tangentially mentions Plato's characterization of the lover as a friend inspired of God. The sacred band was stationed in Cadmea as a standing force, likely as defense against future attempts by foreign forces to take the citadel. It was occasionally referred to as the city band, due to their military training and housing being provided at the expense of the Boeotian polis. Their regular training included wrestling and dance. The historian James G. Devoto points out that Gorgidas previously served as a hippic, therefore equestrian training was also likely provided. The exact ages of the unit's members are not recorded in ancient testimonies. However, comparing them with the Spartan elite unit Hippisch and the Athenian epheboi recruits, Devoto estimates that trainees were inducted as full members to the sacred band at the ages of 20 to 21, whereupon they were given a full set of armor by their Aristae. They likely ended their service at age 30.